Aesthetic culture is weird, right? Like, we can all collectively agree about this because it's being packaged as a personality when we as people have different interests that develop into our personal style, which at its core stays the same but adjusts with the changing trends over time. And when developing a personal brand, it is important to be aware of these changes in order to stay relevant, but you should never feel pressure to change yourself completely. And that's what I feel like a lot of people feel the need to do whenever they think about having a career on social media. If you do not buy these specific products to dress yourself, to style your hair, to do your makeup a certain way, you are not doing it correctly. And if you don't, you will get nothing for Ralph Lauren Christmas.
It's a lifestyle, it's, product, it's a feeling, it's imagery, it's, your phone case.
Hello there, beautiful people. My name is Shantoria, and I pray you all are doing well. The commercial side of creativity is not always fun to talk about, but it is necessary in order for us to be better artists, consumers, and viewers on the internet. So if you enjoy learning about these things as much as I do, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and make sure to hit that notification bell to be notified of whenever I upload. Now, I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Hailey Bieber. She is the face and one of the founders of the beauty brand Rhode. The way she went on to describe Rhode in the business of fashion video is part of why I A, put it as the opening clip for this video, but also B, wanted to add to the conversation of aesthetic culture because it really has affected the way that we view content, go about making content, wanting to have a career on the internet, as well as affecting our way and ability of developing our own personal styles. Which, by the way, these brands want to be a part of. They want you to think of Aloe, Stanley, and Rhode whenever you hear Pink Pilates Princess and Clean Girl. And in the case of Hailey Bieber, her career has really propelled tremendously because of this, and I promise you I will not be talking about this woman for the entire video. She's just a really good example for this portion, so just bear with me, okay? Though imitation is a part of learning and mimicking is seen as a form of flattering, how far is tattoo far? Because I personally feel like putting on a sheet mask and eating sushi the same way as another person has is going tattoo far. And I'm actually pretty shocked that Rhode did not release sheet mask after this, because some people will do anything in order to seem cool and trendy. Before I get too far into that thought though, we have to define what aesthetic is specifically, because we often speak of it in terms of a particular look in connection with someone's personal brand. So according to Cambridge Dictionary, aesthetic is defined as relating to the enjoyment or study of beauty, an object or art that shows great beauty and intended to improve someone's appearance. Merriam-Webster has a few definitions as well. 1A, of relating to or dealing with aesthetics or the beautiful. 1C, pleasing in appearance, attractive. 2, appreciative of, responsive to, or zealous about the beautiful. 3A, done or made to change and especially to enhance a person's appearance. As a noun, aesthetic is the artistic or beautiful qualities of someone, beauty. Now, I feel like the noun definition of aesthetic aligns more with what I've read from the National Library of Medicine in regards to aesthetic, and it reads, the aesthetic etymologically, the aesthetic etymologically originates from the Greek word aesthetikos, meaning the one who pertains, deals with the senses, which derives from the word aesthenome, meaning I perceive, feel, sense. So I put these words into Google Translate and they translate to sensory and feel, so either way it's relevant. The article also references one of the works of John Dewey, who is known for his influence in aesthetic and philosophy of art, one of his famous titles being Art as Experience, released in 1934. The article states, according to Dewey, the experience of aesthetic involves a drama in which action, feeling, and meaning are one. Dewey then argues that art and aesthetic experience are not limited to the usual artistic objects, but extend to all expressions of life. Hence, we are interested in those aesthetic interactions, and particularly in the type that foster emergence of feeling that promote the construction of a potential preference in everyday objects or state affairs. And to tie this all back into the definitions that I shared with you guys earlier. Aesthetic focuses on the external beauty. And what is beauty? The quality or group of qualities in a person or thing that gives pleasure to the senses or the mind. So when we say aesthetic, we are referring to beauty. Pilates princess beauty, clean girl beauty, which makes sense because whenever we see certain objects, we are tying them to a specific lifestyle. Levi jeans and Stanley thermoses are great examples of items being viewed as for the blue collar worker. Obviously, these brands in particular have been able to stay relevant throughout the years and be associated with different trends as well. But being able to bond over shared needs and desires does foster community, at least for a short period of time while you're in the workplace. And these interactions do influence where we go to buy gear that deliver on the desired performance. The more legitimacy a brand has, there is an increased likelihood that the loyal consumer will go and share and recommend this to others around them, which turn products into a means of entering a subculture community, which more often than not were rebelling against the social norms at the time. Then were over sensationalized by the media, making it easier for companies to turn a movement into product. I feel like the 2020s decade will be remembered as a time when the everyday person learned about marketing and branding, because social media really is the newest and lowest barrier of entry into the entertainment industry. Associating a particular look with a product is an easier sell, and I think it does say a lot about how we view entertainers if people are mostly doing ads instead of providing any valuable content. As much grievance as there is with the more financially well off, there was a time when we were curious about what their lives looked like, desiring and dreaming to be a part of the Hollywood bubble. Now, it was never tasteful to boast. That is not what became trendy. Seeing that it was now possible to have a similar life to these celebrities is what became trendy. So when we talk about relatability, is more in the sense of offering something to the viewers for them to aspire to. Aspirational marketing is a strategic approach that sells a desired lifestyle, status, or identity rather than just a product's functional benefits, tapping into consumers' desires for self-improvement and success. Now, this is a topic I will be getting more into in my artist influencers video, because we see this shift in consumer behavior, trusting celebrities less, and the internet personalities seeming more legit because they're more on the similar playing field as us. Now, that does not mean that celebrities still cannot sell a product. Internet personalities more often than not mirror our reality and shop at the same places that we do. So it's easier to replicate. Aesthetic and core culture specifically, I believe, is built off of mirrored marketing, which is a customer-centric strategy that reflects the audience's identity, behaviors, or preferences to foster deeper engagement, trust, and relatability. You need this in order to be considered that, creating a narrow avenue, a narrow barrier of entry into community. Social media platforms like Tumblr, Instagram, and Pinterest are known for aesthetic imagery, creating pleasing appearances of what we desire to look like or to imitate. Aesthetic culture encourages group thinking and adoption of a particular style instead of deciding individually what you are comfortable with wearing and if it aligns with your values. Now, there is a growing desire from audiences asking these content creators to create more valuable content, doing tutorials, sharing information, news, facts, resources. But there's also a reality to this industry that we also have to acknowledge when it comes to content creation. It is a business. It is a job. As much as it would be great for your favorite beauty influencer to mostly be creating tutorials, they also have to keep in mind about the trends that are happening in this space, because those are what get views, get the highest engagement, and ultimately allows them to be able to pay their bills. Now, at the same time, being a trend chaser instead of a leader does not mean that your views will stay consistent, especially if you are not bridging the gap in between your content. Can it be trendy to personalize trends? Because doing the same exact thing as everybody else is so boring. Other than having uniforms for school and for work, I do not understand people's desire to look the same. There's a reason why we enjoy the things that we do and wear the clothing that we decide to wear, whether it is cultural, faith-based, parental, or adopting from the media that we consume. We internalize all of these things, which forms our perception of what we deem to be aesthetic, what we deem to be the ideal beauty standard that we aspire to imitate and to feel. It also extends into how we view others. If someone does not fit into what another person deems as beautiful, as aesthetic, there is a pressure to conform. To feel pressure to be an early adopter of a new trend in hopes that that person thinks of you whenever they hear Pilates Princess, or even better, naming the trend after you like Carolyn Brissett Kennedy. Fashion can be a fun medium to express yourself, to learn about what pieces and styles of clothing help make you feel confident and grow comfortable in your own skin. Not everything that you see on your feed is something that you need to participate in, nor does it fit your style. Also remember that social media is very curated to each individual, so what may seem like a huge trend on your side of the internet is very minor to the rest. We have to encourage individuality, independent thinking, and self-assurance that it is okay to not participate in everything that we view as aesthetic, because beauty is so subjective. I do plan to make a video about clothing specifically, because ever since social media has been the popular avenue to promote yourself, there has been this push of image first, music second in terms of branding, which is the conversation being had about the group Cat's Eye, as well as other female artists that are young and have a sizable portion of their fan base that are minors. Really, it's about how this type of imagery and marketing affects how children, teens, and adults view and accept what clothing communicates as confidence and female empowerment. Also, there shouldn't be one type being pushed and affirmed. Whatever aesthetic you decide to try out, be sure that you are able to mold it to fit you and to highlight all of your beautiful features instead of reshaping yourself into someone that you are not. You can always switch up the look, but never stop developing the person inside of it. So let me know what you all think of aesthetic culture in the comments down below. Which ones have you tried? And I pray you all have a blessed rest of your day and have an awesome rest of your week.